Today is Dream Sunday, and here's what that means for me: is I'm a dreamer. Anybody else? You're a dreamer in here, the head in the clouds. I was that that the coach put in the outfield because he was like, "There's Eric's not doing anything. He's staring up at the clouds. I'm naming shapes. I'm dreaming about being like a ninja spaceman. Like, come on, like I wanted to be a Jedi since I was like 5, and so like that. I'm a dreamer, and here's the thing, Andrew. It hasn't changed. I'm 33 now, and I almost said 32. I'm older than that. I'm 33 now, and I'm still dreaming about being a ninja spaceman. Like I'm loving it. This is me, and so here's the thing that I found out as I got older, as I started getting around more adults, because like teenagers are weird people and you don't really talk about being a dreamer to teenagers. But then I started talking to other adults and talking about my dreams, and I realized that there's this weird thing that happened, which was adults stopped dreaming. Like I remember talking to people and like even just like the actual fall asleep and having a dream. I met so many people that go, "Yeah, I don't have dreams," and I'm like, "So you just like black out and wake up, like, like that's what happens? Like dangerous. Like I don't like like what happened?" Like and so I've had those moments, but it's usually when I got hit in the face. Like that's not a way to fall asleep, Cassie. Like I want to go to dreamland. Like I want to fly. Like I want to do all the cool things. But I met people who have never or don't dream anymore as adults, and I'm like, my word, how? Does that happen? And so today I want to encourage you guys. This is something I feel like is on my life is to help bring some dreams out in people. I think in more of the practical, man, life has beaten us down a lot and has told us that our dreams aren't attainable, or the things that we wish would happen aren't going to happen. So better just settle with what you have. Man, I want to encourage you guys today that there is something more. And that's what Dream Sunday is going to be all about. So there's two parts to this message. Here's the first part is how a dream can be killed. Now, I think we all might know the answer, but walk with me as we go through that journey. The second part of today's message is how a dream can stay alive. And if you're paying attention, this is all really negative because I said dreams could be killed and then they can stay alive. Can means it might not happen. Here's what I mean by this is by default, a dream will die. Left on its own, a dream will pass. It will fade away. And we all kind of know this. And so whenever it's said out loud, kind of like, yeah, cool. But I want to go a little deeper right here. Do I got any plant people in here? Like you got a green thumb, Taya, come on, anyone else? A little bit, you got a little bit of that. My wife and I, like she's got a bunch of plants now. She's doing pretty good. This is the longest we've kept plants alive in our household. So come on, praise the Lord. There must be something going on. And but usually, like we can't even. What are those like succulents? Like where they're meant to survive without water, we still kill those. Like I don't know, but my plant people in here, and I think all of us probably know the answer to this. What happens if you pulled a plant, like let's just say a nice flower from your garden and just put it on your kitchen table? It's gonna wither, it's gonna die. Why? Because it doesn't have any of the things that it needs. It's just left in a place that it wasn't supposed to be. It's not in a place that's gonna naturally grow. What does it need to grow? Water, sunlight. It needs a place where it can root itself and then grow from there. Dreams are no different. Exactly the same as that. And so oftentimes the way that we see that dreams are killed is that they're put into places and then they're left unattended. In the garden of your mind, a dream can grow. It can get so big. It can get so big that it actually surpasses reality. And so when we go, oh, could we see even a portion of this dream come true? But then we place it in an area of our lives that has no way to grow it. Some of you, you've wanted to be in relationships and you have this dream of having a partner and all of this good stuff in life. And then you go, let's try to make this dream a reality. And you take that dream and you put it into Tinder. Come on, people. There's no water or sunlight in Tinder, okay? Like, it might be a great place to meet somebody, but that's not where the dream has to stop. You got to then water a relationship. You got to then put some effort into it. But if it's meant to just live in that spot, that dream is going to die, and then it's going to feel like that dream could never come true. Right? Anybody with me here today? You see, taking a dream into reality, this little process right here, I call it the wishing well. Okay. Anybody, you've seen wishing wells? Anybody ever use the wishing well? Maybe it was a fountain. How about a fountain? Right. Okay. So those who haven't used it, I'll try to explain it. And man, I'm gonna open up some childhood here. Like, what you're supposed to do is you go to like a wishing well. It's just a thing wells, brick and a little like hut over it with a bucket, and you would take a coin in your pocket. You would take a dream and you would turn it into a wish. Hey, this thing that I've always wanted, hey, let's see if something can happen. And so you take the coin, you flip it in, falls down the well, and then you usually what? You just walk away, hoping that the dream becomes a reality, hoping that your wish was at least a good first step in the journey. Maybe you do that in a fountain too. I don't know if you've been to like the mall and you just see like pennies like all around in a fountain. Man, I've looked at that, and I've just seen it's such a great representation of people throwing their dreams into a space, hoping something could happen, hoping a relationship could start, hoping a job would come, hoping a bill would go away, right? Man, I hear it requires no action, but man, I'm telling you that the work of a dreamer is more than just wishing. It's more than just a little bit of hope that things could be better. There's a dreamer in the Bible. His name is Joseph. He's probably the most prolific dreamer that's in the Bible outside of a guy named John. And Joseph, he's the last kind of major character in the book of Genesis. And we open up the story of Joseph. He is the son of a man named Jacob. If you were here last week or you listened to the podcast, we talked about Jacob. God renames Jacob into a man named Israel. And Israel is the one that the Jewish nation comes from, the house that Jesus comes from. And Jacob has 12 sons. Come on. That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of mouths to feed. I got three and I'm done. Like, so he's got 12 of them. And Jacob, he's the second youngest son, and he's known to be a dreamer. Genesis 37 opens up his story this way. Let's read this. Jacob loved Joseph. This is his dad. He loved Joseph more than any of his other children. Come on, who's the oldest in here? You know the youngest was loved more than you. Okay, so you know this. Joseph is the youngest. He had it easy. He got his dad's best behavior. Joseph, other children, because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day, Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. Anybody, you've heard this story before? Coat of many colors. Maybe you've seen the musical. A beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. One night, Joseph had a dream. And when he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low for me. Okay. If you read this from the perspective of Joseph's brothers, Joseph's an idiot. Like, come on, again, all my older siblings in here, your younger sibling comes up to you and says, "You're gonna bow before me." You're kicking them. Like you are gonna make sure they bow before you in that moment. Like, so, if we just read the context, this is the beginning of Joseph's story. I, I don't think Joseph knows his brothers hate him. I don't think he's aware that so at least we could say Joseph's immature. He's 17 at the time. As we read later into this, he's still a young dude, and at least he's just unaware of what might be happening in the world around him. But when Joseph is sharing his dream, he's just sharing it with the people that he knows, or at least he thinks, should love him, should support his dreams. I got a warning for us who have a dream is I want you to be careful who you share your dreams with. Some of our dreams have been killed because we've given that dream to the wrong person. Eh, Here's what happens is that when we share a dream of ours, it's only in our hands. But when we share it with somebody, we're actually giving a piece of that dream to that somebody. Because then they become responsible with the information of that dream. I got people have told me, man, I want to write a book. And so then, like a year later, I go, how's that book writing? Oh, well, well, don't judge me, but I don't know. It's just not my. And I'm like, well, I've been wanting to read your book. Like, tell me about that book. Tell me about. Hey, I'm gonna start dating again. Oh, cool. Tell me about that boyfriend. Tell me about that girlfriend. Oh, I don't know. And it's like, no, you're hey, don't get my hopes up. like, but at the same time, sometimes you share with somebody who doesn't want the best things for you. What does this usually look like when you share that dream? Bad advice, right? And sometimes it's not so subtle. Like, I don't know if you've had a parent like, and and they mean the best intentions, but you share a dream that's a little outlandish, and out of protection, that parent goes, "I don't know if you should do that. What if you just spent a couple years doing dot dot dot?" And you go, "Ah, maybe you're right, but also maybe I shouldn't have shared my dream quite yet. And maybe it's just not at the place that it needs to be." Eh, Joseph, he has a dream. He wants to tell his brothers, uh, but it turns into this negative response. You see, his brothers are what I call dream killers. You got a dream killer in your life? I had a teacher one time. She was my what do they call that class where you just the study hall? I had anybody have study hall? I had a study hall class. And literally, I took the study hall class because they told me I can have an entire like hour and a half class where I did nothing. And they're like, well, you're supposed to study, do homework, like all that stuff. And I was like, but could I take a nap? And they're like, I guess. And I was like, check. Well, like, I took study hall to take naps. And so at the end of the year, I was in this class like for the back half of the year. At the end of the year, I'm walking out of the class and the teacher goes, "Hey, Eric, will you wait up for a moment?" I've never had a conversation with this teacher. She said my name roll call, and that's the longest conversation we've had. And she goes, "Could you wait up for a moment?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I go, all the kids are out of the class, and she looks me in the eye and she goes, "Eric, you are the worst student I've ever had." She goes, "I'm going to be surprised if you graduate. But even if you do, I don't think you deserve it." So I went, "Okay," and walked out. I got dream killers. I got people that those things that they've said to me still ring in my ears today. Come on, I know I'm not alone in this. Here's what I've found is that those dream killers, what they are really having a problem with is that you have a dream and they had the same dream, but it didn't work out. No, no, no. From my experience, books are hard to write. Relationships are hard to be in. Marriage is hard to stay in. So sometimes you bring your marriage problems to the wrong person and they go, they shouldn't treat you like that. Maybe you should leave. And that's their first response instead of, hey, can I help you guys get into counseling? Can I help find you a community that can support you? I don't want to see your marriage ruined. I don't want to see you separated. There's always redemption for people. There's a lot of hurt that people do, but there's a lot of ways that we can help people. Amen. I'm telling you, some people, you bring problems of debt in their life and they say to run away instead of facing it. Ugh. It's because they had a similar dream and they didn't see it become a reality. They're always losing their dream, and Joseph is facing 11 dream killers again. Here was the dream that they would be the head of their father's house. And Joseph comes to them with a dream and says, hey, guess what? You know how I'm the second youngest? Well, dad's going to give it to me. Hey, my 11 older brothers, I know you're the ones that are supposed to deserve it. And this has been your dream your entire life. But guess what? I got a dream, and it's that you're going to serve me. Well, here's what happens. Genesis 37. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, Joseph is going out into this field in which the brothers are shepherding the flock. It's far out from the camp. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. Imagine he's got a bright coat. He's got the sign written all over him that his father loves him more. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. We can tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams. If you didn't know, this word cistern, it's just another word for a well. They see their father's most valuable thing come, similar to a coin, right? And they go, hey, maybe if we throw our father's most valuable thing in this well, our dreams will come true. Maybe if we have to down his dream for our dream to come true, maybe it'll work. Maybe we can get rid of this bragger. Maybe we can get rid of this dreamer, and I could get everything I've always wanted. I'm not seeing a whole lot of success in their future. But the problem is that we still kind of reason with this sometimes. I don't know if you've ever been up for a promotion against somebody. I was at a job where I worked in a warehouse, and me and this other a coworker of mine, we were up for the same job. It was frustrating because he was a little bit older than me, a little bit more experienced, but I had been there longer. I had worked harder. And so I'm not proud of this, but I started kind of when I'd meet with my manager, I'd kind of start tattletelling a little bit. Like, yeah, hey, I got in at 6 this morning. It was crazy. Josh got in at 6:30, but we got the work done. Come on, come on. Listen, I got brothers. I got a twin. I know how to do this. And so I started doing this like little cut him down so I could get what I wanted. This is a similar action that we're seeing. It's scaled down, but the heart is the same. If I can make them lose, then I can win. That's how I'm going to get my dream. It's not going to be given to me. I'm going to take it. I got news though. A dream that is taken, not given, will bring a nightmare. It doesn't end well. It doesn't go well for these brothers here. Uh, the good news is that Joseph didn't die. His brothers do capture him, and they do throw him into this pit, into this well, and they leave him there. They've beaten him. But the bad news is that it actually might have been better that Joseph did die. Of mercy, one of the brothers convinces the other ones, hey, it won't look good on us. We'll feel this later if we let him die this way. Instead, they see a caravan coming by and they say, let's sell him into slavery. So then someone else will kill him and it won't be on us. Let's get him out of here still. So they sold Joseph off into slavery, waving their brother goodbye. This caravan holding slaves sell Joseph to an Egyptian high official named Potiphar. And here's the craziest thing is that God stays with Joseph even in this moment. Joseph comes in as the lowest slave in a very quick period of time, becomes the highest. This is a hard way of describing it, but becomes the highest ownership slave underneath Potiphar. In fact, so much so that he's not even treated like a slave anymore. Potiphar goes, oh, you're good with money. You're good with management. You're good with all these things. Well, I'll give it to you so I can be on vacation. And he does that. And God stays with Joseph. But like I said, this could turn into a good story. Maybe Joseph turns this around. Maybe he gets it. But then dumb things start to happen. Right here, Genesis 39, verse 6 says, so Potiphar, this is his master, left everything he had in Joseph's care, with Joseph in charge. He did not concern himself with anything except food he ate. Now, Joseph was well built and handsome. Come on, somebody. Like, that's how, if I have a book written about me, like, that's how I want people to write about me. Eric was well built and handsome. I, I'm just going to stuck on that for no reason. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph. Anybody know what I mean by that? Come on, give him the wink and wave. Hey, Joe, how you doing? You get those muscles? Like, where you at? And said, come to bed with me. Come to bed with me. I'm finding that a lot of times, even when you're living your dreams, even when you're going through the hardships of trying this, there's a lot of distractions on the way. Let's say, let's say you actually started well and you've kept your dream and you shared it with the right people, and now you're working on it. Now you're doing it. Now you're in the right standing, doing the right thing. And we've talked about this before, but isn't it crazy that when you're doing the right thing, bad things start happening? Here's the weirdest thing with dreams is a more attractive thing will come and distract you. Hey, what if you stopped that dream and started doing this other thing? Because this other thing will get you some of the success. Not all of it, but some of it, enough of it to be attractive, enough of it for it to sway you. Hey, I want to start that business. I believe that this could be a 6, 7 figure business on my hands right here. And then somebody comes by and says, hey, I could give you 4 figures right now. I could give you 5 figures right now. Will you just give me your dream? Tempting, right? Something more attractive. I get what I get a piece of it, but I get it right now. When we're given the opportunity, would we quit? Would we give it up? When Natalie and I, when we were starting Dwell, one of the most hard things, it wasn't leaving where we were at and it wasn't starting something new. It was the in-between time. We were given an opportunity when we started it, right in the beginning of it, which was, will you guys wait a couple years? We felt God told us to go now. And somebody said, hey, if you wait a couple years, we can give you ... amount of money. I'm like, no, God told us now. So we turned that aside. Then we got to another thing and somebody said, hey, we love what you guys are doing. We love what you're believing in. We love the people that you're trying to help. Would you consider doing it in downtown Omaha? Hey, even if you just go to another city, do the exact same thing, just go to a different city, we'll actually fund your entire first 5 years of your church. That's pretty attractive. That's pretty easy. I got an immediate salary, and I'm still doing the God thing, right? I'm still doing exactly the plan, but just I got to negotiate where God told me to do the plan. I don't know what wisdom was given to us in our life. And I'm telling you, this was really hard. But we went, no, we're going to stick with what God told us to do. We're going to do it downtown. We're going to do it now. I'm telling you, attractive things are going to come by and they're going to tell you, hey, here's the worst part of it. While you're on the journey, the harder journey you chose, you're going to get these little reminders of 2 years ago, you could have. Hey, you know how you're struggling right now? Well, if you would have, wouldn't be so bad, would it? It's going to make you second guess your dream. It's going to make you change your mind. It's going to make you it's going to enter into the worst parts. It's going to enter into your prayer time. God, did you give me away and I didn't take it? Did I mishear your dream? Did I not understand? I'm telling you, when God's giving you a dream, you need to stick with it. I need you to understand this. You are responsible for how the dream starts, but not how it ends. This is really key for us because God has asked you to partner with something big in your life. And he's saying, I will finish it. What does Jesus say on the cross? It is finished. He ends things, but he's asked his people to start it. Man, there's a business above us. Usually not open on Sundays. You're responsible for how it starts. Are you going to start with integrity? Are you going to start it now? Or are you going to start things the way that God's asking you to? What Potiphar's wife realizes is that Joseph's faithfulness is stronger than her temptation. But it doesn't go, oh, well, lost this one. No, those dream killers never just settle at, man, I didn't get them. No, she accuses him of assault, and he gets thrown in prison for 2 years. At this point, Joseph has been in slavery in prison for 13 years. From when he was a boy at 17, now at 30 years old, sitting in prison. Not only this, it says that he goes to the prison kept for Pharaoh's most disregarded prisoners. He's actually in a completely forgotten place. This is where a dreamer is at. 13 years, brand new coat. Daddy loves me. I got it. My brothers are going to bow. I know they love me. Why wouldn't this be good for everybody? 30 years old, sitting in prison, all for things he didn't do. Completely unjustly. I can relate to this. I think there's a bunch of us in here that we can relate to this. There's a dream that you have in your life, but right now, reality feels like prison. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, but why does it hurt so much? I know I needed to start that business, but why am I struggling so much to get clients? I know I'm supposed to write this book, but why am I still having writer's block? Why won't a publisher contact me? Why can't I get my stuff written up in a magazine, in a newspaper? Come on, we sat with you guys. I've heard the dreams that feel like you're stuck in prisons. I think a lot of us, just to get out of this, we'll go back to that attractive thing. Like I said, it's going to come back. It'll start tempting. Hey, just come back. You're at 0. What if I just gave you those 5 figures? And you'll go back to it. You'll settle for good enough. I got news though. We don't follow a good enough God. He didn't look at you when you were born and say, good enough. Maybe you had parents or, man, just a misguided teacher in your life that said, good enough. Failure, good enough. Who you are right now, good enough. No need to grow, no need to try. Your marriage, good enough. That job, good enough. Minimum wage, good enough. You want to have a kid, but you're an awesome aunt and uncle, good enough. But you know the dream. You know it's on your heart. You know it's weighing on you, but good enough. I'm looking at the story, and I'm looking at Joseph, and I'm saying, what gets him through 13 years of hell? There's no other way to explain it. He starts hell with getting beaten by his own family and sold. And at this point which we're reading, he is still beaten and sold off into prison. What gets him through this? How does he still keep going? How does he not give up? Why is he not dead? In reading this week, As I was studying this, I feel like Joseph could see more than his reality. You see, I think Joseph's the type of person that you could put a seed in his hand and he sees a harvest. I think Joseph's the type of person that you could put a dream on his heart and he could see it become real. I think the only way that he can get that is somebody around him. I'm going to guess his father, who wrestled with God and overcame. Someone told him, Joseph, don't give up. I ran away from home, Joseph, but I found my way back into the grace of God. It took his father 14 years to go from taking his brother's birthright to coming home in triumph. I think his father told him, God is still with you. In those moments when he's sitting by himself in a cage sold off by his brothers, I can't help but think that maybe Joseph, similar to us, but someone hasn't told us the truth that's on his life. Don't give up. Your dream is worth staying alive for. Your dream is worth fighting for. Your dream is worth sacrificing everything. If it's the right dream. See, I think a lot of us, we have wishes. We just throw them in the well. If that came true, that'd be cool. But a dream, like a real one, the thing that's written on your life, the thing that when you're laying on a deathbed surrounded by family, that you'll look back and say, I did it. I had to struggle, I had to fight, but that's the thing I'm talking about. The thing that keeps you up at night, the thing that'll make you work 60, 80 hours on. I think Joseph understands this. I think this is a similar word that as Pastor Natalie and I, as we were praying over what 2024 was going to look like, we felt a similar thing. This is the word that God gave Pastor Natalie and I, and it's seeing double. By the way, those little 3D glasses that are on your chair, you can use those, and it's actually 3D for anybody who cares. And in fact, here's what I want you to do. I want you to grab those glasses. Everyone grab the glasses. And there's a marker that was with that. I want you to grab that marker as well. Here's what we wrote down as we were dreaming of dwell. Here's what I mean by dwell, though. I don't mean the organization. I don't mean the building. I mean you. Pastor Natalie and I, we sat down and we prayed about you. Amy, we prayed about you. I mean it. Austin, we prayed about you. Taya, we've been praying about you. We said, what do people need? Not what Aeric and Natalie need. We're with you. God, what do we need? What we heard was seeing double. Here's what we wrote down. We were praying. Those who are seeing double can see two of the same thing instead of one. We believe the people of God are encouraged to have double vision. Whatever is in your hand right now, do you have vision enough to see it doubled? I felt like God dropped an image in my head of 3D glasses. If you guys don't know how these glasses work, one of them's blue, one of them's red. And if you just closed one eye, you'd see just one of those colors. And when you open both of them, you actually see, this is how your brain works. It goes, my two eyes are seeing two different things, so it crosses it over, and it actually makes it look like it's popping out. And so that's how you can see things, and there's depth and perspective of it. I felt like he gave me this image, and he said, one eye sees all red and the other sees all blue. And at first, your brain tries to blend these together, and some of you guys get nauseous when you do the 3D stuff. But it's because your brain's not used to looking at things this way. Your brain hasn't adjusted this type of pattern of seeing things. But eventually, if you looked at things this way all the time, it would actually start to become normal. You're not used to seeing flat images in 3 dimensions. God showed me that many people look at life only through the blue lens. Life is filtered and 2-dimensional. And depending on your experiences and choices, you become settled with dreams that have been lost and you have given up. On the other side, there's the red lens that shows us all the promises that God has for us. And maybe at one point, you dared to look through that red lens, but it became too dizzy and confusing. But today, God is challenging us to open both of our eyes. See that blue filtered reality? No one's saying that bills aren't coming in. No one's saying that your business isn't struggling. No one's saying that your marriage is all fine and good and dandy. No one's giving that advice. It's still there. But I am saying that there is a promise that is beyond this. And when you can start looking through both of the lenses, you can realize that your two-dimensional life can pop and come out. And you can start seeing the depth of life. Here's what we see. We see a church doubling in its size. We see our generosity doubling in a year. We see our impact on downtown Omaha doubling in a year. But I'm not just stopping at a dream for this organization. I believe in faith that we could see double in a year for your family. In your job, in your marriage, your friendships, I believe that as God starts blessing you, you'll be encouraged to bless others. You'll remember a day like today that this is where it started. It didn't come from nowhere. It came from somebody saying, dream again. Come on, don't give up. This is the Dwell Church that I see. I see us each Sunday equipping and empowering you to receive God's dream for your life. And in the waiting, in the faithfulness is his blessing. Just like Joseph in the pit and in slavery and in prison, you will not be alone. God will be with you. Worship.